Can I ask who's on Zoom, please?
This is Allison Collins.
Thank you. Isn't it fun just sitting out there waiting for us to get started? It's 5:30, and I'd like to call the special city council meeting to order, please. Before we begin, I'd like all council members to make sure to please silence your cell phones. And if you have any personal business to take care of, please let me know, and then we can take a recess. And I would also like to ask the audience if they could silence their cell phones as well. Ginger, would you please lead us? All right, we'll do the roll call later.
Okay.
Sorry.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Cooper,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Alcantara,
Here.
Councilmember Carrington,
Here.
Councilmember Collins,
Here.
Councilmember Graham,
Here.
Councilmember Hudson.
Here.
That's everyone. We have a quorum.
Thank you. And I'd like to ask for approval of the agenda, please.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any opposed? I'm not gonna vote.
Do you want to vote or just?
No. Hearing none, we'll move on to a new business. And I would need a motion for us to go into committee of the whole.
Move to go into committee of the whole.
Second.
Thank you. And we will vote on this one, please.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Carrington,
Yes.
Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
and Deputy Mayor Alcantara.
Yes.
It is approved.
Thank you. So this is the committee of the whole, this is a presentation of our 2026 budget. And we will have the department head be coming forward and giving us their pluses and minuses and what's going on with their budget. And what I will do is this time I want to turn it over to our manager and have her call her folks forward.
Thank you. Just before I do that, there's some housekeeping items. But I'll first start with this Friday, October 24th. City Hall is having our Halloween open house from 4 to 7 p.m. So please come down, bring your kids, and enjoy City Hall chambers all decorated. And then also on tonight's dais, I placed several pages of your budget book, page 15 and 16, 47 and 48, pages 49, 50, pages 91, 173, 174, 175, and 176 on the dais tonight. We found some clerical errors in those, no substantial changes in any of those pages, but those are what I put on the pages for the council members tonight. Also tonight we'll be discussing the FY 2026 budget for each department. We're not expanding city services, but we are improving what we do. The goal is to align our service levels with staffing demands, improve our day-to-day operations, and make sure our departments have what they need to meet our community's needs. Each department will discuss the details of their proposed budget shortly in order, but there are a few key highlights that I would like to include in my little monologue here. We are adding 1 full-time evidence records clerk in the police department. We're adding 1 full-time firefighter in the fire department. We are moving the special services coordinator position from part-time to full-time, but that will be budgeted under fire mostly, but then the costs will be shared across fire, police, and public works, and we can discuss that budgeted item later. We are also transitioning the library technology administrator from part-time to full-time, and we are providing a 2.5% cost of living adjustment for all city's employees. So that's why you will see a difference in the salaries and benefits here on most of the pages, which should account for some of those increases in our departments. And also I'm continuing funding several projects using previously approved and appropriated funds, but they were unspent in previous years. And this budget also includes 1 organizational change, which establishes the library as its own independent department. And even with all of these changes, our general fund remains balanced with a surplus of $611,786. And with that, I would like to invite the Palmer Police Department to begin their walkthrough of major increases and decreases in the department's proposed budget. And Miss Gina, would you please come up as well?
All right, can you hear me now? Okay. Good evening, Mayor and honorable council members. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. We'll be starting tonight at page 33, which we are org chart. But I just want to do a brief introduction to myself because I'm kind of new. I haven't met everyone on the council yet, but my name is Shane Bozeman. I'm the chief of police for your Palmer Police Department. I just want to give kind of an overview of where we're at now as a department. Currently, the Palmer Police Department is fully staffed in all positions, sans the new position, obviously, which is in our profession is not always a common occurrence. I truly believe this is due in part to two reasons: the culture and values shared within the department itself, and the overwhelming positivity we receive from the citizens that we have the privilege of serving. Palmer Police continues our goal of providing the tools and opportunities for growth and professional growth and development of our team members through training and expanded roles. Absolutely. Through where to go, expanded roles to build their knowledge and informal leadership skills through taking on challenges outside of normal duties. We have an amazing group of people representing Palmer each and every day, whether we reside in the city limits or not. Each one of us, each member of the Palmer Police counts ourselves as part of Palmer. So with that said, on the first page there, we have our org chart. There is just one minor adjustment to it. Ms. McManus, was an on-call dispatcher, is on a kind of a hiatus right now, and her role has been filled by a young lady named Kelly Appello, I believe is how we say her name. And I believe that's the only change we have in that. Moving over to just the budget itself on page 37, we can start going down that. Talk about the increases. The first increase you'll see is the regular salaries, and that's based on two things: the COLA that Manager Zirkle mentioned, as well as the added position of the evidence records technician. The benefits portion of it, the increase there, I'm going to turn it to Ms. Gina because it's way beyond my understanding and wheelhouse. So if
the city benefits on that line item for full-time, it's actually full-time and part-time employees that fall in that line item, but it's FICA and Medicare, the city's portion, and then for full-time staff, it includes health insurance and the PERS, city's PERS responsibility for the matching of the retirement piece, and then also workers' comp falls into that category as well.
Thank you, ma'am. And if I get going too fast, just tell me. A little nervous yet. So moving on, we've got, it goes into the next item on the line is the regular overtime. And this is more of just a correction to align with the 5-year average. Overtime is typically tied to things like court, training, coverage for vacancies. And then anytime we are short-staffed, we have minimum standards that we have for patrol to be on the road, and that's where this comes in. And so it's more of just a correction to align with that. Services, $15,000 increase is what we requested, and that pertains to things like contracted software support, digital evidence storage, equipment calibrations, and things like that. And historically, that too has been it's exceeded the allotted budgets. What's been presented in the past, this number has always exceeded that, so we're just trying to bring it in line. Vehicle insurance, I believe that's a citywide premium increase. It's proportional with the replacement of vehicles. Patrol uniforms, vendor costs have increased. I think we all recognize that, and it's felt. I think I read it was a 7 to 10% increase within our uniforms. So it's not necessarily we're buying a lot more stuff. It's just the stuff that we're buying is just a lot more expensive. Let's see, building services. This covers our vendor costs and the escalation. So, for example, janitorial services, HVAC, and access control. So that the cost of those services have increased as well. It goes into dispatch regular salaries, which I believe is on the next page, would be page 30. It's actually page 39. I've jumped ahead there. We went from 38 to page 39. Same, that's for just the merit COLA increase for the staff we have there to help retentions and such.
Chief, let me interrupt you just for just a second. I'd like to remind the council, please ask questions as we go along, as opposed to wait till after the end of the presentation.
Just slow me up if I've gone too fast.
No, that's the case.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So, I had a question on page 37 under the police department expenditures, and this might tie into what you're gonna get into for dispatch, but I didn't really see it on there. The services line, with the $15,000 increase, is that also accounting for, like CAD, RMS upgrades, that kind of thing? As well as things like,
So that, we've listed in our budget, on the CIP side of things,
Okay.
an update or looking at, moving to a new system that over time, moving from the ARMS, the GIS system we're currently using, the Motorola system we're currently using, it's going to be a one package, process. It's gonna be eForce, and it'll house all of those items. And the overall cost, you have the initial cost of purchase.
Right.
And then you're gonna have a greatly reduced, service cost, where it goes from, I think, up to $50,000 to $60,000 to $20,000 to maintain year after year.
and that's all in the CIP?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry about that.
So, Deputy
Mr.
Mayor, please.
Mr. Mayor, I had a question as well.
Go ahead, please.
And this is back on page 37. And this is more for, I'm new at this as well. So I just wanted, if you could give me a little information as far as looking at the salaries and the benefits. It looks like several positions have either been added or filled since 2022, which is the first year listed there. How is it determined when positions need to be added with the Palmer Police? Like, is it based on number of residents or number of calls taken within a year, or what does Palmer Police Department look at when deciding whether positions need to be added?
Historically, I have not been a part of adding, and it sounds like you're referencing more towards the sworn side. I have not been a part of any of that, but currently in assessing the current role and just our evidence technician currently she's amazing, but she has a lot on her plate. And to continue the route we're going, it's either gonna create this massive burnout, or we're just gonna fall behind to the point where it starts affecting things like our public record request, ensuring that we're getting our data and evidence to the court systems. And if we're not doing that, then they'll just end up dismissing cases, which is absolutely not what we want. So that's kind of the assessment for where we're at with this ask. I actually have it written out a little more.
Councilwoman Collins,
Detail.
this is the mayor. Since 2022, I think we were probably 5 or so officers short at that point. And so now we're totally staffed. And what has come up during that course of time is, new things come up on the horizon that we end up adding billets for that. And like the chief just mentioned, a new evidence clerk, a new patrol officer. And so that's kind of the difference between 2022 and 2026.
Thank you. I did have a question on the evidence custodian as well, or the evidence room. Is the evidence room for the Palmer Police kept totally separate from the troopers, or is that combined in some fashion where you guys share the facilities there?
Those are two separate entities, and so our evidence is kept separate just for chain of custody purposes. We don't testify to what they do, and so it's everything we do is kept in-house. Everything they do is kept within the confines of their area.
Deputy
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chief. Hey, just a curiosity question. Are you Shane Bozeman or Chris Bozeman?
I'm Chris, but I'm in trouble.
Okay.
Christopher's my first name.
Okay, thank you. That's not my question though, but I just was curious. I saw it on there. So on the overtime situation for both the police department and for the communications center, you talk about these little bit of increases you're asking for, and I appreciate that. But if you look just at the information we're provided, I know you said something about a 5-year average, and maybe it was much lower in 21 and 20. But when I look at a 3-year average of overtime on page 37, it comes to about $230,000 a year, and you're asking for 200. So my question is, what happens when you need that money, when you needed the 244, the 209, the 236, do you just pluck that money out of travel and training and other places, or why are we, if we need that kind of overtime, why are we asking just for a $9,500 increase to $200,000?
That's a great question. So what, ideally, fully staffed, you don't need as much overtime. You can't count on being fully staffed. But we're also looking at different methodologies with scheduling to help alleviate some of that. So whether it be, for example, one of our big overtime draws is during the fair, right? We have everyone on staff, at least all sworn, have the opportunity to work every day at the fair, and that's a significant amount. We're looking at maybe changing our scheduling for multiple purposes, one for overtime savings, but for me, the bigger thing is the burnout that you have. You work 21 days in a row, 22 days in a row at 12 hours a day at minimum. Want to reduce the amount of stress that causes on the individual. So those are just a couple of ways. We're just looking at schedules to alter things a little bit to try to reduce that.
I appreciate that answer, and I assume it's the similar answer to the communications center. And I look at the average for 3 years, it comes out to about 112 a year. You're only asking for 70. I take now that we're fully staffed in the dispatch center, that'll alleviate the need for overtime as well.
Yes, sir. We're fully
And-
staffed in both full-time and our on-call.
Yeah. And Chief, just so you know, it's not, we want to grill the new guy as much as the Palmer Police Department's obviously a huge part of our staffing level. I mean, over a third of our staff is the police department, as it probably should be. Maybe it should be more, but, so you're going to get a little more questioning. But can I ask one of Gina, Mr. Mayor?
Please.
So just because I'm always perplexed by this, so I think I need maybe some health insurance answers or something, but when I see a salary increase of $139,000, but a benefit increase of $149,000, when the benefit increase is more than 100% of the salary increase, as it is in both the communications center and in the police department, I have to ask the question, what are we paying per employee per month for health insurance, or what's the, I know it's probably not a simple answer, but why am I looking at benefit increases higher than salary increases? I mean, as a general rule, 35 to 45% is considered kind of a, when you have a position, if you pay it 50 grand a year, you're going to have about 20 to 25,000 in benefits. When I see these figures, it looks like our benefit package is costing us as much as the salary, and I hope that's not the case.
So regarding the benefit piece, so there's, besides health insurance, there's also PERS. And, the PERS liability is 22% that the city has to pay per full-time salary employees' wages. Then the piece with the health insurance benefit is we don't budget based on a per capita, because it's kind of hard, because there's a different price between family coverage, employee only coverage, employee spouse, or employee children. And so it's budgeted kind of based on actual coverage.
Mr. Mayor? Yeah, back in the day, we consider that coverage per employee and then coverage per belly button, so to speak, that there's 80 employees, but there could be 240 people covered, 320 people covered, 160 people covered. But my question is, can we put just I don't want to say a guesstimate, but without saying this is how much it is per employee, this is how much per employee with family, per employee with spouse, what do we pay per month per employee for health insurance on average?
Okay, so roughly about $4,200.
$4,200, and our carrier is Blue Cross Blue Shield, or who's our carrier?
Yeah, Premier Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Okay, thank you, Gina. Thank you, Mr.
Chief, I have a quick question, something that you just kind of missed over. Animal control expenditures on 38.
Yes, sir.
Don't we get money from the borough for any of that? I mean, they provide the actual, other than we have an initial call out, but they provide the actual animal control pick up and deliver to the shelter and stuff.
For the services that we render, so like, we'll actually transport to, unless we're calling them out, say we're on a call for service and maybe it's a more aggressive animal or something, we can call them out. Otherwise, we'll typically resolve it, we'll take them to the shelter. And per the contract, which I believe back in March, increased based on the contract, and that's where this is. So we actually pay them to do it, because when we, so for example, say we have a dog with a, get this so you can hear, make sure. So say we have a dog bite or something, and we have to have that dog quarantined at their facility for 10 days or whatever it is, they're billing us for that. If the person who owns the dog doesn't come forward, then we're left with that. So this is where a lot of those funds are that contracted fee is covering those costs of their staff, the food, the maintenance, the animal care.
Right.
So that's where that comes from.
Thank you. And Gina, this is probably for you. State Trooper building expenditures. We own the building, state occupies the building. My guess is they pay us virtually nothing for that building, for their occupancy.
Yeah, the lease rate is pretty
Minimal.
low compared to the operating expenses, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chief Provost, you're up.
I am John Prevost, Fire Chief. Good evening to all of you. I also have a slight correction on our org chart, and that is on page 41. And that is our fire training officer, Colt Graham, is not the deputy chief, so just cross off the deputy chief part of that. I don't think he would want that if I offered it to him, so we'll just take that off. A little bit about our budget, just because it is completely different than any other budget department for the city. We contract with the Mat-Su Borough for rescue services and for fire service in the Greater Palmer Fire Service area. So, the rescue contract has a cost of its own, and then the fire service is based on a percentage. So if you look at our total budget, operating budget is $2,445,783. Out of that, the rescue contract pays $90,713.70, and then the borough fire service pays $1,446,172, and so the city's actual obligation for this operating budget is $908,896. So if you were to approve this budget as it sits, 909,000 of that 2.4 million is what the city is obligated for. I can break those contract amounts down a little more if you'd like me to, or we can just move ahead.
Please move ahead.
Sweet. Sounds good. So, as the manager mentioned, we're looking at adding one full-time firefighter to our staff, and then changing a current part-time position to a full-time position. So that is the big increases on the salaries and benefits. As she mentioned, changing the part-time to full-time position, we will have to discuss more. And the reason for that is we're we're changing it to a full-time position to work for other city departments. And so because of the borough contract with the operating budget of the fire department, they're not gonna want to, nor should they have to, pay for that additional time because it's specifically for the police department, the fire, or police and public works. So, as she mentioned, we'll discuss that later, but that's the big increases in the regular salaries and benefits. The lowering of the part-time salaries, even though our call volume is going up, the lowering of that is because we moved that position into a regular full-time versus coming out of the part-time salaries. As you can see, I lowered most of the line items in my budget, and the reason for that is I know that, you know, strings are tight, and I needed this extra full-time fire position, and so to offset some of that cost, I dropped some of the lines in my budget. The couple that went up, contractual services, we're looking at some new software for training and inventory control management. And so that membership cost there. And I also have started a gym membership for our on-call responders. Most firefighter fatalities can get traced back to poor physical fitness and health. And that gym membership just kind of lessens the health liability that we have. And then the other two that I increased was building repair and maintenance and vehicle supplies. We're still working on modernizing and fixing long ignored problems with our facilities. And then vehicle supplies, you know, the cost of everything is going up, and we're also needing to replace some apparatus tires that are several years beyond the NFPA recommendation.
Mr. Mayor, can I?
Yes, ma'am.
So I see that you had to cut a lot in here to make up for having it come as close as last year's as possible. I have concerns about the $10,000 cut to training.
Okay.
And I know that the way that some of the borough contract works is based off of the total budget for the department. Is the borough increasing, stop start. I'm worried about that $10,000 because I know how much training the department does and how much training the department hosts.
Right.
And my concern is that it's going to get, you know, pulled from somewhere else in the budget later on. And I want to know why you have it lowered so much and whether or not that has to do with the contract with the borough based on the budget.
Gotcha. So, yes and no. You know, part of the reason that I made all these cuts is so the contract for the fire service is we can't increase from one year to the next more than 10%, or we have to go back to negotiating the contract. The other is just because I know I'm asking for more than $100,000 increase for this new position, and you know, I need to give a little to take a little. As far as that particular line, you know, I looked back at what we've been spending. If you look at training previous years, from 23 to 24 is where we significantly increased it. And we kept it up there. Last year was 40,000. And looking at those past years, what we've spent, how much it costs to bring outside trainers in, I feel that the proposed 30,000 is sufficient to still be able to bring instructors in and have high quality training. I've been working with my training officer, who's, you know, only been on the job a couple weeks now, but we've already got some great training that we're looking at for bringing up for next year, and that 30,000 proposed is sufficient for that.
Thank you. I had one, well, I guess technically two other questions. So fuel you also decreased by 4,000, and rental and lease you decreased by 4,050. What has prompted the changes as far as specifically the lease and rental? Because I know that is not typically a cost that drops that much. I should know if that was like office equipment lease and rental, because I know that can be kind of pricey sometimes. I wasn't sure why that specifically dropped so much, because that, I guess it usually doesn't go down.
Okay. So what I did with that one is I looked at previous year spendings and what we spent in the past, and that's where I made my decision to make that cut. And so that's where I based that off of.
Thank you.
Chief, I'd like to follow that up. Lines 34 through 37, those are all negatives. And I have the same concern that Councilwoman Graham has, that you're reducing water, sewer, garbage, which is interesting, fuel, rental, lease, and insurance, and heat. I just don't understand why, when everybody else is probably paying more for fuel or paying more for heat or water or sewer and garbage, why you would have that decrease.
Again, all of these decreases that I requested is based on looking at the past 5 years of what actual expenditures are. And, you know, what we spent, the amount we spent and what we spent it on, so that I could look at, okay, you know, we spent a big chunk on this, but now that's taken care of, so we can, you know, take that out of, you know, what we need to spend on moving forward. As far as the decrease on insurance, that wasn't my requested decrease. That came to me as, here's what we need to spend on insurance. So that part of it is what it is, you know. So, but I feel confident with the numbers that I put forward, that that's what I need to make the department function. So.
All right, perfect. Deputy Mayor.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Chief. And I think you're doing a good job of hopefully getting us all to look back at the 22, 23, and 24 actuals and not just compare a $4,000 to $2,500 deduction from one year to the next. Because when you look back, take a historical look and just average out 5 years or 3 years of actuals that you have, I think I get a good comfort level for what you've done here. Especially in, as you mentioned, you're trying to add a position. That position you're adding is the full-time fire supervisor, is that correct?
No.
Oh, what position is adding on here?
This is an additional full-time firefighter. The fire officer is currently vacant because my training officer was the full-time firefighter, full-time fire officer. So that job will be posting shortly. That's just a vacant position that we currently have. The new position is a new firefighter.
And just for my curiosity, and I'm not gonna ask you to go into the benefit package piece of it, because I already beat that one in the police department, but what does that start at? Just the flat pay, not the health insurance, and the other things. Do you know, or just an idea? I mean, you don't have to give me a job description, but I'm just curious.
That one, roughly 29, 25 starting.
29.25 per hour, so 60 grand a year. Okay.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions of the chief? Folks online? If you're done, we're good to go. Thank you. He knows.
Excuse me, before Jude gets started, John, to answer your question regarding what you had about the health insurance, I did a little pencil, and my number that I quoted you was incorrect. It's more around 3,500 a month.
3,500 per month per employee.
Yes.
So,
Average.
42,000.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
average. Thank you for that. Know a little better.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, council members, Jude Bilofer, your Public Works Director. Since everyone has a complete understanding of salaries and benefits and all that, I'm going to stay away from that. And I will refer all questions to Miss Gina in advance. How's that sound, Gina? Perfect. So, because I can't leave early and I need to use up some of my allocated time, I'm going to hit a couple highlights for you. And number one, you've heard me mention this a little bit before. The Fireweed Ave Road Project, improvement project, was an enormous success. And you see that in there from last year's budget that I'd mentioned we were going to do it. We got it done. It came in well under budget. It came in well underneath the engineer's estimate, which was a huge testament to how hard we worked with that firm and then the company that got hired to do the project. So I just want to highlight that again, because hopefully you all have received comments from your constituents. We certainly have, and for one area, we've not received any negative comments, which is a huge success in Public Works because 99% of our calls are, we miss somebody's trash, or somebody's sewer's backed up, or somebody's water's not working, something to that effect. And since we're just getting to the wintertime, yes, you all will get those calls about somebody, misplowed the road or plowed their driveway in. But anyways, I did want to highlight that because what you see in our department budget request is we are going to work on Evergreen Ave this year, pending your approval. You already approved the design for it. And that is our next phase of helping to ensure that the downtown area is easily traversed by all users. Vehicles, emergency apparatus. Believe it or not, we get lots of complaints about the railroad tracks and how they impact emergency apparatus, with the number one being ambulances. So I fortunately have never been in the back of an ambulance that had to go over railroad tracks, but I would imagine it's probably not a pleasant endeavor. So just wanted to highlight that. You can see all the other things there that we have listed on our plans for 2026, and then I'll get right into our specific budget questions. I am going to highlight the larger scale ones. Again, you all now are experts after two of them with salaries, benefits, that sort of thing. So if we can start on page 47, the main Public Works Administration budget piece. No surprises here. We do have one decrease that's a little bit larger, and that is insurance. That's because we had auctioned off some vehicles. So there you see a reduction there. So unless somebody has any specific questions about page 47, we'll go over to page 48.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I do have a specific question, probably for Gina. So on leave expense, from a 0 to a 12,000, go back historically, it's 9,000 a year. Do you anticipate someone's going to cash out a bunch of leave, or why does it go from a 0 in the current budget to 12 grand on line 6019?
Yes. As you can tell, every year leave does get cashed out based on Public Works employees and the number of years they've been there and the vacation levels that they earn. Also, I was accounting for possible folks retiring from the city, and that would cause an increase as well to that line item.
Follow-up.
Please.
And if I may, we did this in conjunction with Gina because we anticipated one of our senior employees to be retiring. But I believe that decision has been put on hold, which is a good thing. But anyways, just to give some more clarity on that.
Thank you.
Okay, page 48. If you go to the bottom of page 48, the line items there, you see an increase of 40,000 and 20,000. Now, that is not something that we are increasing specifically here. This is merely a transfer. Those were capital project items that you would have seen from previous years. We moved them out of capital projects because, as I mentioned to you probably about 2 months ago, we are initiating a cyclical program to identify and repair curbs and sidewalks around the city of Palmer. So now, by putting that here and making this a recurring budget cost in our repair and maintenance lines, if you will, that's how we are going to address some of those challenges that have unfortunately languished far too long. So that's where both of those cost increases come from. That is what was left over in those capital projects that are moved to these line items. Any questions about those? Everything else is pretty minimal on those other ones.
I do have a question, sir. On that page, so like lines 49, 65, 66, 67, 68, how many of those are contracted out, or do we do all of our employees are actually doing the road salt, the road painting, the crack sealing?
Our employees do that. Okay. Now, we do have a contract for crack sealing, but this is for the materials and things like that as well.
Okay.
But we do, so all the calcium chloride that gets put down on the gravel roads, our employees do, as an example for that.
All right, thank you. One other question. Line 75, Christmas decorations. So my question is, we bought Christmas decorations last year, I think, or maybe the year before, or whenever. I mean, we have them in storage somewhere. Are we getting rid of them? Why are we spending another $10,000 on Christmas decorations?
No, we have that budgeted for some additional ones, and we did not spend that full amount last year. What we had to do, if you recall, we were still playing catch up from the January 2022 storm. We had almost every one of our decorations wiped out. Some of those were professionally made that the city purchased decades ago, and we cannot find a source, number one, that meets the quality that was done back then, or number two, somebody that will do it, even if we did find them. So this is a progressive approach, and as most of you have probably heard, the downtown atmosphere in Palmer is extremely enjoyable, especially in the wintertime. And we are adding some additional lights, and some of this is, for example, we are putting lights on City Hall this year, but that's a contracted one. But little things, we do have additional lights now that will be going on trees that go all the way down to the Fireweed Ave. I'm not sure if you recall those folks who are new here. When we did the Fireweed project, we extended the electrical services and outlets, buried them in the ground all the way to wrap around the corner of Fireweed. And why we did that, we had received numerous complaints that, oh gosh, your Christmas lights stopped halfway down the street. And that was because we did not have the capability to service any additional lights down there. We had no electrical outlets. So, little small tidbit there. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I want to follow up on that, Director Bilfer, because just kind of give you a little kudos on Christmas lights. But my mother-in-law, rest her soul, would always say before she passed away that Palmer reminded her of a Norman Rockwell painting at Christmas. So I will say I've only been on council a little over 3 years, but I've never had one email yet saying you guys spend way too much money on Christmas lights or graduation photos or anything like that. So I would say on that one, thank you.
Well, thank you. And that, I pass all that kudos to the crew. They take a very special pride in ensuring that the decorations they're hung with care. And I don't just take that out of a song, but they are. And it's very meaningful to the crew, the comments that we receive. And we don't need comments. We don't do it for positive feedback. That's not why we do it. We do it because we enjoy it and we know people enjoy it. So we're going to continue it, hopefully. And I'm pretty sure the manager likes Christmas lights as well.
Okay, please go on.
All right, page 49. Minor things there. You see some street light maintenance one. That's a big one. Our operating costs for streetlights, especially repair and maintenance, what we have done is we are changing over and we are almost now done with every streetlight masthead is now LED. So we are really close. But what happens when we do have an LED system go out, the replacement is a little bit more expensive. That is predominantly why you see that cost. And some of you may be aware, we have been very active the last 3 weeks. It's very hard to see a street light out during the summer. And then, and a lot of times we don't know if they're out. I'll give an example. Up off of Darren Drive behind Cars, we just found out that a whole row of street lights were out. A contractor doing a under road bore drilled through the lines. We didn't know that until those sections of lights went on. So it's just one of those things. Please, if folks do call, let them know the Public Works crew is out, and we are addressing those as quickly as we can. So that's where you see that large increase there. The leave expense down there, Gina mentioned that. Again, that was in anticipation of a potential retirement, and we do have some very senior folks in the Public Works Department. And I don't mean senior just by this eloquent, this gray hair that I have, folks that have been with the city for a long time. So that is one area that we do look at and we do monitor. And even though, as Gina mentioned, it is a requirement by code that city employees take 80 hours of leave a year, I still have some folks that are very senior and do earn a significant additional amount of leave as well, which good for them. They've been here, they've put the time in, they've made the sacrifices, they've earned it. So unless there's any questions on that page, go to page 50.
Mr. Mayor, I do have
I'm sorry. Ma'am?
Sorry, I do have a question. So I notice on here that you've got, under vehicle maintenance expenditures, you have safety equipment. I assume that's like standard safety equipment, but then you've also got vehicle supplies, police. What does that entail?
I do not know the exact specific pieces, but if there are parts and pieces that need to be ordered for police vehicles, they go through the Public Works office.
Gotcha. So
It-
lights go out, that kind of thing.
It could be anything. Fire
Gotcha.
extinguishers, medical kits, it could be any of those types of things. So I
Gotcha.
can't give you an exact
So that's the
breakdown.
kind of thing that would get coded to that.
Yes.
So the $23,000 total on here, it's a $3,000 increase. However, I didn't see anything in CIP, and maybe this will be something that we talk about later. I didn't see any vehicle replacement for the PD, but I know that they've gotten vehicles in the past. So when the police department gets a new vehicle package, that's its own thing. It's not included in this. So this is like
Correct.
random.
That is its
replacement
own
stuff.
line item that you
Okay.
would have seen or will see if there's any of that on the capital projects piece
Okay, thank you.
on the list. And back to page 50, just a couple small increases there. Operating supplies and repair and maintenance. It is getting more and more expensive to repair equipment. And we're keeping this low, but we have some old lawn. You may want to make fun of it, but lawnmowers, weed whackers, trailers, some of our equipment is fairly old. Replacing it is very expensive right now. You will not see that on any of our lists right now, but repairing things is our goal. And fortunately, we have a world-class mechanic and our crews do a great job as well. But it is getting more and more expensive. We have some older items and it is harder finding some older repair parts to fix our items. And that's where you see those increases.
Oh, quick question. On line item number 53, equipment. Do you buy, or does it come out of community development? Do you buy the equipment that kids play on at parks, or does that come out of somebody else's budget?
We do not.
You do not. All right.
We do not.
All right. Thank you.
If I may, we transition to Sewer Water Enterprise Fund. That starts on page 61. And I want to talk about a couple of the big items. And if you look on page 65 there, you see a $130,000 increase under engineering services. Now, this is multifold. So, you know we have been approved for the fully reimbursable SRF loans. However, to get that, we have to spend money. We have to have that money up front. So we also have to do that. They will not give us money until we have shown an expenditure of money. So it's coming, this is part of that. We also have part of FEMA. So on our FEMA projects that we're doing is we are seeking money as part of the FEMA reimbursement that we are still working on from the 2022 January windstorm. We have to showcase engineering that's been done, and we anticipate it being, this is what we are being told, and we have it documented in writing, that will be fully refunded. But again, I don't have the money to go down those roads and do the engineering and things like that. And that's why you will see an increase that we have split evenly between water, which is page 65. And if you look on page 66, you see the same increase there on the sewer side. One small piece of those, because it's not strictly engineering, about 80,000 total, 40,000 from each. We are involved right now with doing, it's an ArcGIS upgrade. And so what that means is that every single one of our valve boxes, manholes, sewer lines, sewer covers are going to be documented and then put into the ArcGIS system. So when we have a complaint, we know exactly where it's located. The really great part about this project that we're doing, Wasilla did it as a test bed the last 2 years. They paid for all the equipment that we will be utilizing to accomplish this, which thereby serves or saves the city a significant amount of money. So it's one of these things we're basically sharing, but the engineering firm that did theirs is doing ours, and so the engineering firm has the equipment, if that makes sense. This is a much needed project. The city, as it continues to grow, sometimes in the sewer water area quicker than we can keep up, there are new lines being added, and it is very important that we have exact locations of those lines. And as I said, valve boxes, manholes, storm drains, all of that is going to be documented into ArcGIS. Hopefully that made sense.
Yep.
So those are the two big line items, sewer and water, that I wanted to point out there.
Mayor.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Director Bilifer. Looks, from a cursory review of that pages 65 and 66, that you took a lot of money out of equipment and repair and maintenance and added it to engineering. Is that a fair assessment? Or I'm a little nervous about the equipment reductions, but I obviously, when I look at the bottom line and I see an increase of only roughly 3% overall, I figure it's not so bad, but I do see the big reductions out of equipment and repair and maintenance on both pages.
No, in the equipment piece, we're showcasing it there, but we did move some equipment values into, you see, if you see the very bottom of page 65, the transfers out, we moved them into capital. So it's more consistent across the board. So that's where those went. And we're very careful about this in terms of when we buy vehicles and how many we actually request. So it's going to be small this year.
Is there a question?
Me again, or one of them?
Okay, if I may then, if we could go to the solid waste fund, if there's no more questions on water sewer, and that starts on page 77. And I'm gonna highlight the really big one that jumps out at you, and that is the decrease of $470,000. Well, that's because we just bought a new garbage truck. And that's where that money is. And we do not have a need for a new garbage truck this year or next year. So, and as you can see from there, everything else is very minimal in terms of what goes on. And again, forgive me, I failed to mention, but sewer, water, and solid waste, those are enterprise funds. So if everybody's familiar with that, what that means and how those funds are tracked and utilized a little bit differently, they have to be In a perfect world, they're fully self-sustaining with the fees that are generated. So, as I said, other than that large deduction, pending your questions, that's all I have for this evening.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Director Billiver, take you all the way back to page 46 on your plans for 2026. I'm sure you've addressed this before, but I've forgotten probably, but what are the 3 roads that you're gonna upgrade and pave in 2026?
Okay, so the Evergreen Ave is our goal number 1.
Yep. I'm looking at goal number 4 specifically, bullet number 4.
Oh,
Yeah.
we understand that as part of the MPO, we will have Caribou, Dolphin, and gosh darn it,
Gold Key.
yes, Gold Key.
Okay.
But we are not in charge of that. DOT, because of how the MPO works, that's the Metropolitan Planning Organization that the borough is now under, because they hit a certain population threshold. DOT is doing those projects, but those projects have been approved. We anticipate this year. I'd be a betting man that they may even be moved to the next year. But
They're coming.
they are coming. The good part is they are approved, they are on their prioritization list, which is a huge step forward as we try to get to start paving those roads around the city that are not paved. And I'd like to highlight one area, if I may. If you see down there, the Valley Trails Pavement Preservation Project. Valley Trails is one of the oldest subdivisions in the city of Palmer. Typically, you like to see a minimum of 2 inches of asphalt on all traveled roads. When we did a pavement analysis a year ago, actually a year and a half ago, in the Valley Trails area, the average thickness of pavement in the Valley Trails area is 3/4 of an inch. Now, I don't mean to alarm anyone, but when we did that, unfortunately, it had been neglected for years. A pavement preservation type project is something that should be done every single year around the city to avoid a catastrophic failure of pavement. We're confident we caught it in the right amount of time. We have the money, but that is, I just wanted to highlight that you see it called a pavement preservation. But that is to do all of Valley Trails and restore that pavement in there to a much safer level. Again, could it last another 2-3 years? Maybe, but asphalt, like everything else, wears out. And we are rapidly approaching that in several areas around town.
Do you have a follow-up?
Just a comment. Director Billifer, I will say that a little old school, which I appreciate, and I do like the way, just like on the fireweed project, that you tell people what you're going to do it, and then tell them that you've done it. So I appreciate that way of doing business, and thank you for a good presentation.
I have a question for you. This is on the MPO project for Caribou. Do we have the plans for what they're gonna do?
I do not yet.
So the question I have is typically, do we typically have our sewer manholes in the street and not in people's yards?
Typically, we do.
Okay, so there's a comment or question on Caribou that it's in the middle of between 2 houses, and would that be moved then?
It depends on if that is a tie-in for another easement that goes somewhere in the neighborhood. So I don't know the answer to that specific question, but we do have some that go perpendicular, but again, those are on easements where the sewer lines or water lines may run. Again, I apologize, I cannot answer that exact question.
Thank you. And on line 29, could you explain to me what the $420,000 is? And this is on the solid waste fund.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Page 81.
The, which one?
6029 services.
Oh.
Explain to me the 420,000, please.
This is our tipping fees that we pay at the Matsu Borough, which are this is one of that continuously go up. So we have, when you say services there, the cost of us doing business in the city.
Well, all right, thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Quick question, just specifically on the Valley Trails project. I know that the fresh paving on those 3 streets is MPO. Is Valley Trails also an MPO project?
It is not. That is an in-house project that monies that we have saved from some of the projects has been consolidated, and we will utilize those funds for that project.
The streets and Valley Trails are also fairly narrow. Are they going to be widened?
At this time, no. The reason I said the cost, redoing,
It's a lot of.
lengthening or widening, excuse me, significantly adds the cost.
Thank you.
We would love to. I would love to. I just don't have the funds.
The yards out front aren't very big anyway, so there'll probably be setback issues, but just curious. Thank you.
And that comment can be extended to Brittany Estates as well, for all of their roads and those sidewalks in there.
It sure can.
Madam Manager.
Yes, flipping back to page 46, just for clarification, we do have, for plans for 2026, design and construct Cedar Avenue Extension Project. That currently has been pushed in this CIP to 2027, just so that it is not currently going to be a capital improvement project ask unless the council chooses to when we discuss capital improvement projects.
And I should have explained, I wrote these pieces in parts, and those decisions were made afterwards, which
Is that it for you? Are you good? Any other questions of Mr. Billafer? Thank you, sir. Sure. Yeah, let's take a 5 or so minute break between the next presentation. Thank you. Yeah, so we talked about.
Yeah.
So have you looked at, I mean, Cedar literally is right next to where the old car wash place was, and it's like one block.
And it may not make sense,
Yeah.
right?
chooses their menu and they take, some of us take out of that hat by a month. So utility like sewer, water, there's very stats on this stuff. Increases this year are 12.7. Well, actually, take it early on, you know what I mean? And then Palmer's its own standalone, 80-ish, 75-ish. She said in the
Never been dealt into.
It'll be 81.
It's like sidewalks.
so right now it's like 7.6.
Right around there, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, she said, I was talking to her today. They didn't say.
For the record, let you know that Karen is here in person, not online. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So now we would like to present the community development budget.
Good evening, Nathaniel Lutz. I am the Community Development Director. So community development actually encompasses a lot. We can really break it down into like the building department and then parks and facilities. So that covers the MTA Event Center, the Visitors Information Center, the museum, the depot, and the golf course, the library, and then of course community development, better known as the building department. So there's a lot. We're responsible for maintenance and operations of pretty much the most popular fun places in Palmer. So it's actually really exciting. So we can start on page 27. Well, actually, we'll do 25. So happy to say that we just onboarded Ian Dorman as our brand new building inspector. So one less vacancy. The only one that's left is the operations assistant, which it was previously titled Parks and Facilities Assistant Manager for the MTA Event Center. So on page 27, there's not much of deviation or deltas across the board with our department. It's from basically an analysis and just tracking through previous years of actuals and current budgets, and kind of getting a pulse on what the department is headed towards and what the direction of all we're looking at. Like I said, so salaries and benefits there's not much of a change. Just a little bit of a shifting of retirement and onboarding. Biggest one that we're gonna look at is, of course, the leave expense. The beloved Joan Patterson is looking at a target date of end of June, early July. So that's 44 years of experience with the city, walking out the door. So that's the 16,000 that we're accounting for there. Really, it's kind of boring going down. If you have questions I can cover, I'm just gonna really cover the big ones. I guess, speaking with Gina, the insurance change, the $4,200 reduction, it could be mostly because we reduced one vehicle. So our community development specialist has the same vehicle as our environmental staff, so our janitor that cleans all the facilities at night. And that's just basically utilizing the same vehicle. So there's that, but also I guess the two competing companies actually became one conglomerate and stuck to their reduced increase of fees of only 10%. So that changed the proposed budget moving forward, so that's a good thing. Office equipment, just the way we track it, I just reduced that because of how we're pacing with our equipment, and we just purchased some new computers, so I don't foresee us having any sort of big ticket items moving forward. And then the MVP transportation, that was because essentially we had paid the big balloon payment in the previous years, and it's just the follow-up payment, so that's the larger reduction on that. Moving into page 28, for the VIC or the Tourist Center. Not much change. Repair and maintenance, however, the building does need several repairs, specifically fascia board and roofing. Now, it's not an entire large project, but it is part of those things of deferred and continual maintenance that have been, I won't say neglected, but just kind of a little bit of overlooked over time. But we identified that through a walkthrough, so that's why I put that on there as an increase. The depot, same thing. You'll see across the board, heat has gone up at 26%. That is coming from top down, right? We're being told that they're increasing the heat. So across all our facilities, I put in 26% increase, and that's where that's coming from. It really doesn't kind of slap you in the face until the depot center at line 33, 6033. So, and that's just, if you flip back and forth, that's just a 26% increase across the board. It just happens to be a larger facility and it's used more, so there's more output. And we'll go ahead and, if any questions?
Please go ahead.
Okay.
I'm
All
sorry.
right, we're gonna go ahead and
Deputy Mayor?
move forward to.
Yeah,
sorry.
Thank you, Director Oates. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Nate, in department duties and code enforcement, who, I don't see like code compliance officer or that kind of position. Is it a building inspector? Is it yourself? If you get a call about code, who goes out on the call and tries to enforce it?
It depends on what the code is, right? So zoning, it would be both my duty, but more specifically, the front line would be our community development specialist. Now, if it's building code, that will fall previously myself, but now Ian. Now, moving forward, when we're talking about a code compliance officer, that is something that we're in the works with coordination with PPD.
Please go ahead.
Okay, let's go ahead and move forward to the library. One big change is we had, as Madam City Manager had mentioned, that we had essentially upgraded a part-time library technician to the library technician admin. So that was a good move. I think it's going to be quite successful for the moving forward for the library. That position creation, the person that's filling it has done tremendous work outside and inside that library for the success of the library moving forward. So that's a really, it was a business decision to retain for the success of the library moving forward. So that is where we're seeing the influx of the regular salaries and the benefits going up. And then, of course, the reduction of the part-time salary. So it's kind of a shifting there. Leave expense is, I actually don't know. So I do apologize that I don't know that influx of the leave expense particularly.
I requested the leave expense to be budgeted in the library this year because we were gonna currently do it at 0, which is what we had done in previous years. But I wanted to reflect a more accurate one for the library that was based on previous year's expenditures.
Thank you. You'll see advertising is increased in previously we had not done that. So working with the library director, we decided to actually swap it was repair and maintenance, because we had not been tracking that amount or that expenditure. In addition to that, we don't technically have any repair and maintenance for the ongoing future until that library is built. So we were able to just basically shift that one for one. And the reason that we're going to shift that for advertising, we haven't done that before, is particularly to focus on revenue generation and funding. I'm spacing out fundraising. Thank you. Apologize, first time up here. So, and now moving down, rentals and lease. That was actually a shifting from The library had successfully negotiated a new lease with storage, so an offsite storage from a previous location we had. And so with that, there was a reduction, I believe it was almost $1,000 a month reduction in that rental for temporary storage for the library. And then insurance, I'm assuming it's the same kind of trickle down from the reduction of competition, I would say. And then that insurance pool is larger, so the offset cost goes, I guess, to the users. Supplies, books, and subscriptions. We're asking for an additional $5,000, and that's to cover or influx the Alaska Digital Library. So there's an increase of that funding for those users that like digital books and digital library and databases there. And I think that, unless there's any questions on some of the smaller things, that pretty much concludes my review of the library.
Councilwoman Graham?
Thank you. So, quick question on the advertising. I know this is not something that you guys had budgeted for before, and you're pulling it from repair maintenance because that's not a thing right now. Mm-hmm. Going forward, when repair and maintenance is a thing, are you guys going to maintain that 4,000? And does that potentially include things like you guys having a standalone website, all of that kind of advertising, including digital, or is this just straight up print advertising?
This is particularly for strategy and print and online. And my understanding is it will twilight after the construction project, after that influx of fundraising for that opportunity. But yes,
Okay, thank
to
you.
answer your question.
Yeah, thanks.
Anybody? Please move forward.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move forward to the MTA Event Center. I believe Gina, our finance director, had covered the regular benefits and the increase of that. There was a little bit of a shifting of there's the seasonal arena specialist. We negotiated his or their as basically importance. So we had increased that to retain him for his expertise and tenure. And then once again, go down to heat, which would be 6033, is just that 26% increase. We were travel and training. It was for a rink management. The manager would like to, had requested to get some training down in the States, so we're going to go ahead and asking to execute that to bring up, just to upgrade and make the ice arena or the MTA Event Center a little bit more sharper and competitive in the region by using those assets and training. And so the big one is probably going to come across the table is repair and maintenance, the delta to 30,000. So we did significant upgrades to the refrigeration cooling system that basically keeps the rink cold and the ice there. It had been the same one, it had been there for 20 years. So lots of deferred maintenance that was needed, upgrades, and so a lot of that influx of cost was operated last year at the end of 24 and then the duration of 25. So that's where that's coming from.
And that was the new compressor system that was.
Compressor, condenser.
That we ended up
like the
rebuilding.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Or Yes, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. And where did we purchase that from?
When did we purchase the condenser? That was while I was compartmentalized as a building inspector, so,
It was purchased from Fairbanks. Used equipment.
right.
Used equipment and parts.
Yeah, I wanted to refrain from lying, from pulling things out of my pocket, but yes, that was, I believe it was a used compressor that was found from Fairbanks and pulled down here, and that's where we upgraded, I believe, Cool Air did almost 90% of that work for that.
If you remember, we had an old system there and we brought this one in. We ended up rebuilding one of the systems so that it could actually work. You have a follow-up, ma'am?
I did. And when that was purchased, how long was that stored in Palmer before it was put in? Do we know?
How long was it stored?
Yeah, yeah. Like, was it brought in just immediately installed, or?
It was immediately installed into the MTA center. Now, I believe there was a 6 to 7 month duration between like, you're asking when it went into full operation. I'll have to defer to to Helios as well.
So the compressor had to be completely rebuilt, and so we had one that was online and the other one was offline, so we rebuilt that one, and then we rebuilt the other one that was online all winter, and that new one got to be online. So it's hard to answer that question, but we worked on it as quickly as possible, as the time allowed. But yeah, the equipment is 40 plus years old, so those compressors aren't made like that anymore. We got real lucky in Fairbanks with someone on eBay. So yeah.
You have another follow-up, ma'am?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right, page 59, it's parks and facilities. And as discussed, well, I don't think Public Works had gotten the conversation about this. We are looking to do a swap for park maintenance. So basically, the groundskeeping maintenance. So that has been split between parks and Public Works and parks. And we are looking to move forward and swap that. So there's going to be an increase in part-time salaries for Public Works, and then obviously the reduction on the side of parks and facilities. And for that is for community development to really hyper-focus on planning, programming, and long-term future for the parks and trails development, and increase the operations and maintenance for Public Works. It's to streamline it. Having two different crews essentially doing the same thing, just at different locations. Public Works just has better facilities for maintenance, they have an on-staff repair. So that was moving forward for streamlining and making the most cost-effective decision for both departments. And then, of course, the fuel is going to be a reduction of equipment when it comes to groundskeeping.
Line 53, sir, is that playground equipment? Or is that equipment to maintain?
It's equipment to maintain, and I'll double check. I'm gonna have to defer to. I always have a smarter person in the room than you. That's my rule, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so the
I
mayor's
know.
question earlier, who buys new equipment for parks and stuff, that would be community development and capital improvement projects along the way too. So that equipment line item is for equipment in existing parks for next year.
Thank you.
Now you know why I keep her on the payroll. She makes me look good. Any follow-up questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So it's, back to page 56, and kind of the goals for 2025, 26 season and beyond. This build an outdoor rink at the MTA Event Center, is that like conceptual? Is that an actual plan with a budget line to it, or what's happening with building an outdoor rink?
That will be forward-thinking, and I believe that's on our 27 CIP. next item would be golf course, which is an enterprise fund. And at this point, I will go ahead and defer to Mr. George.
Thank you. My name is George Collum. I'm the golf course manager. I'm not sure how you want me to proceed. I guess I can just go over the budget as far as, and I don't have the, oh, I guess it's here. Sorry. So we've had an incredible increase this year in rounds played. We were up 21.2% in rounds played, which is a significant amount. And the year's still going. We're still open. And that carries over to all revenues at the golf course. As of right now, our numbers are a little bit different than these that are in this budget. But as far as the total green fees, combining pre-sold and the daily green fees, we're right now at $701,181.75, and last year we did $619,601, which I know our numbers don't exactly align, but I'm just going off of our reports from our TSNAP system. And then golf carts in 2024, we did $193,496.50. This year we're at $256,917, and that's an increase of 32.78%. So the golf carts that were purchased last summer have really paid for themselves. It was a great investment. Driving range in 2024 we did $71,234, and right now we're at $100,447 for an increase of 41%. So overall, the golf course is doing great, very healthy. And then moving over to the expense side, unless there's any, are there any questions for revenues? No. Yeah,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
we are going to.
George?
Oh, sorry.
So I did have just a quick question. So the numbers you're giving us is different from what we're seeing here. I'm just wondering,
These
the
are
2024, are those the numbers you're giving us
those numbers are the numbers off our TSNAP system.
for this year or last
for
year?
last year, and then also this year.
Okay,
The actuals, yes,
okay. So this was the budget and that's the actuals?
yes.
Okay, okay.
Well, that's according to our TSNAP reporting, and I don't
Okay.
know why they don't exactly align. I mean, Gina might know better than I do. Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is just budget. Okay, thank you very much.
One thing to note that we are going to increase fees in 2026. Nothing major, but it all adds up, especially when you're doing the amount of play that we're doing. Proposing the green fees to go up $2 for an adult from 46 to 48. Seniors would go up to 44, and then adult twilight $30 up over 25. And then we had a senior twilight that's 26 up over 22. Season passes, which are still very affordable, $900 for an adult individual, $850 for a senior individual, $1,200 for a family, and then $1,125 for a senior family. And then corporate passes, we have an executive that includes carts, that's $7,500, and that's up from $7,000. And the standard with no carts is going up to $6,000 from $5,500. Our 5-round green fee punch card will go up $10, $190 for adults, $170 for seniors. And then our cart fees, we're gonna bump up from 20 per rider to 22, and the twilight rate will go up slightly also. Push carts are gonna go up a bit. We're purchasing some new push carts. That's a $2 increase from 7 to 9. And then trail fees, which are private carts, that's gonna go up $25 per cart. That's $375. no changes to range balls. We increased range balls last year, so usually every couple of years you increase prices. It's kind of industry standard with golf. Any questions about those increases?
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Collum. Yeah, sounds like fantastic news, and again, you know, I know Palmer Golf Course is like jewel of our community, and appreciate the fact that everything seems to be trending very well. I mean, weather has a big play in it, obviously, but those usage increases of, you know, 21% in rounds and 32% in carts and 41% driving range are impressive. So thank you. I'm sorry to hear that prices are going to be ratcheted up a little bit, but and I would never tell you how to run your business, but it doesn't seem like, and I know golf can be viewed as sort of a seniors type sport, but it doesn't seem like seniors get much of a reduction in some of those prices. I'm thinking even Fred Meyer gives you 10% off, but if I had you right, a season pass was $900 for an individual or $850 for a senior, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Usually we do about 10% on daily fees, and we do have a lot of senior golfers at the course. I would say it's substantial, so yeah. But I haven't had too much complaining about pricing. Over the years, we've kept the prices pretty low as a municipal golf course. Our goal has always been to make it user-friendly, especially for seniors and kids, you know, getting kids out there playing golf. So that's what, you know, like I said, that was our goal, and I feel like we've done a great job of doing that, and I think it's reflected by the amount of play we're getting.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think this is a question for maybe Miss Gina or maybe City Manager Zirkle. It says at the bottom the rental and lease line item. Could somebody talk about that really quickly?
Yes, thank you. Currently, the golf course sits on airport land, and in past years, the airport fund, which is an enterprise fund, which has to operate like a business, heavily subsidizes the golf course to the extent that it is, all of our city departments pay 11 cents per square foot. Since it is heavily subsidized by the airport, the golf course pays a significantly reduced rate, and it is catching the eye of the FAA. That is against FAA policy. So I put an asterisk here. You'll see on 6036 rental and lease, we kept the current rate in the budget because we are doing a fair market value analysis of all airport land. And that will come back and tell us if we need to increase our rates, lower our rates, or keep them the same. And when that report comes back, we will not be able to subsidize the golf course any longer. So I put in there 11 cents per square foot just as a demonstration, because community development and fire and rescue pay the airport 11 cents per square foot. If you do that for the golf course would actually owe the airport $693,584 per year. Right now, they're only paying just under $26,000 a year. That is against FAA regulations. I don't know the exact figure. That's why I did what our baseline is right now. But that fair market analysis will come back here in the next couple of months.
You follow?
Yes, please. So as I'm seeing right now, the proposed budget for this year is $723,000 approximately, with that $26,000 that you had just mentioned as what they would pay. So that would be the $693,584 would be on top of the budget.
That's correct, and that means the general fund would then have to cover that portion for the golf course because the airport can't continue to subsidize it. So the golf course can continue operating, however, we would need to fund that delta, about $700,000.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and how much do we approximately have in that fund this year, looking at about 611, correct?
We have 611,000 in surplus. I was hoping we could use that for some of the capital improvement projects, but yes, we have $611,000 in surplus that we can appropriate.
So I just want to just clarify now, so basically, if we were looking at having to pay that out of that general fund, then that would take us into the negative if we were paying this.
We could use the unassigned fund balance. I didn't want to take us down all the way to zero and then ask for an unassigned fund balance for all capital projects.
Mhm.
So we could use up to 611,000 and then dip into the unassigned fund balance as well.
Okay, thank you so much for the answers.
Councilwoman Graham.
Thank you. This is, again, I'm not sure if it would be a you question or a city manager question. What percentage of the total golf course property is on airport land?
100%.
The whole thing?
The whole thing, all 144 plus acres. So they would have to be billed at 100,
Yeah.
all of it.
Okay, just double checking. Thank you.
Any other questions from, yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, just a comment. So after 35 years of the golf course being there, now FAA says that it has to be the 11 cents or a fair market value rate that we charge other entities, or has this been something that they've been asking us for decades to do and we just haven't brought it up?
I will go with, they have been watching us for decades. They know that we have been doing this. They've kind of looked the other way because we were so small and we hadn't developed most of our land. Now that we are bigger, we're expanding, most of our developable land is going to be off the market. We are now on the radar of the FAA much more heavily.
Yes, ma'am.
And they are watching this particular process, and in fact, they are getting involved enough that any lease negotiations for non-aeronautical use on other entities, they want to be involved in those negotiations. So it's not just golf course, it is the other non-aeronautical leases that we do have.
Oh, I can't. Sorry, that's not my choice.
Do you have a follow-up, ma'am?
I do have a follow-up question. So there was approximately 4 lots, I believe, last time I heard, that were still open on the airport property, and what had been communicated was that it was going to take time for those to develop before we would have to consider the golf course airport kind of topic as a council. So I think that's kind of why I was asking those questions. So are we now looking at a different time frame, honestly, than for this?
I think we're going down 2 separate paths of the developable land versus the golf course lease rate.
Okay.
So the developable land, honestly, someone could walk in the door tomorrow and say that they want it all, and we'd come to council and say yes or no or whatever. It might take 5 years. It might take 3 years. I don't know. Based on our projections, we're looking at a 5-year timeline before our land, before moving community development off of airport land, before moving the fire department off the land. Those are going to come sooner rather than later, and so that's what we need to budget for. As far as the golf course, the fair market value is something that we have to address right away. The FAA does work with entities. If they come back and say it has to be 11 cents, they are fair, and they could put us on a schedule that's, say, maybe from 2 cents to 5 cents, and then the next year a 1 cent increase, a 2 cent increase, so that it's not just hard hitting on 1 year, but they can spread it over maybe a 5-year term. But again, those would be negotiations with the FAA and how they would want to see it, but they do tend to be pretty fair about that.
Another?
I just have, I guess, a comment kind of question. I just think I think it would be good to be able to, I know we'll be able to bring up questions about this later or topics about this. I would just hope that we would make a time specifically to talk about this specific section as a council, before, talking about voting on the budget. I think that tonight is kind of a different thing, you know, having all the department directors present to us and everything. So I don't want to take too much time with that, but I just think that's really important, because if that does come up, you know, this year or anything with them, then with other projects that we have going on as a city, you know, I just want to make sure that we're really prepared and thoughtful about this specific topic.
Good point. Thank you.
Thank you.
One last comment, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
And I agree with Councilmember Hudson's remarks that take a little more time to digest everything on it. But when you say that the golf course, the airport fund has been subsidizing the golf course lease, when I look at the airport fund year over year, I don't see huge chunks of money being set aside to subsidize it. So what does that actually entail when you say it's been subsidizing the golf course lease?
Because the airport offers the golf course a significantly reduced rate than any of the other non-aeronautical uses for the city, and say the Department of Forestry. The golf course is like 2 cents a square foot, whereas everyone else is required to pay 11. So that's what I mean by subsidized.
So it's a loss of revenue, not something that shows up in a budget.
Correct, and loss of revenue, deferred revenue from airport funds is against FAA regulations.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I do have one more
Yes,
question.
yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry. Do we have an approximate number have we had any major like fees to the FAA because of this, like that we've been paying out of our previous budgets?
The city has received penalties to the tune of $800,000 in regards to this very specific topic. I can't remember the exact year. Was it 2018?
It was in 2011.
2011. So yes, this is something the city is well aware of, that we've already paid a large fee on, which is why I want to right size or just present to the council what we need to do to rectify this, because we could be looking at larger fees in the future.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I just again want to clarify that I'm asking these things just so that we can you know, have conversations before passing the budget this year. So I'm not trying to, you know, pressure anybody with a bunch of questions. So thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. Nate?
Unless there's any questions, follow up. Golf course was the last.
Councilwoman Collins, do you have any questions? Or not?
No, thank you. Sorry, I had to find my button there.
All right, thank you. All right, sir. Thank you. I do want to make just kind of just a comment about the golf course. George, you know, as you know, back in the early 2000s, we were on Golf Digest. You know, it was listed as one of the best golf courses around. And then to answer Deputy Mayor's comment about seniors, I think that we have a higher handicap, so we probably should pay more. You know, because we're, you know, I you know, when I do 18, I probably play 30 holes, you know, back and forth. So. Airport, bring. Yep.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm John Dementi. I'm your airport manager. I'm starting on, we'll just jump right into the budget if that works.
Please.
Revenues, page 72. No significant change here. It's kind of some shifting around, just kind of watching the funds that are coming in and historical funds that have come in, kind of move. The tie downs are a moving target because we have we're kind of a seasonal airport as far as tie downs go. because most folks want to pull their airplanes so they don't experience 120-mile-an-hour winds out on the apron. So, and I'm trying to. I went up maybe a little bit too much last year and trying to rein it into a little bit more of a reasonable rate this year. But we'll see where this year's and where it comes in. Any questions on revenues?
Could you explain to me the line 3673, transfers from other funds?
3673, our revenues do not meet our expenses. So what that means is that's the transfer in from the general fund of $40,000 to be able to meet our expenses.
Thank you.
Again, the airport is an enterprise fund and is supposed to act like a business, and we are not making we're not being able to
balance the books.
To balance our budget, I guess, is the. Moving on to expenses.
That was me, sorry.
You're being recorded.
Again, some fairly significant cuts here. The travel and training are reduced. The budget was based on about 2 trips a year for the airport manager to get outside training. I've cut that back to about 1 trip a year. Legal fees went down significantly. The legal fees went up in 2025 because I threw another item in there, an airport appraisal for $20,000, and probably should not have put it in that line item. It probably belonged in another line item, so that was pulled out. Engineering is another one of those. It's a squishy line item because a lot of the engineering that we do, we'll do engineering on the front and then we get reimbursed in a grant afterwards. And then even some of the annual engineering, like for example the disadvantaged business enterprise DBE program that we have to maintain, we'll spend, I want to say it's close to $8,000 on it. And 95% of that money is reimbursable, but the operating budget doesn't see it. That comes back through the capital budget. Down at the bottom, small R&M, you'll notice a $13,000 decrease, but also further on down, line 6068, you see crack sealing. Crack sealing has historically been included in the R&M budget. We lump a lot of things in the R&M budget, just as far as maintaining the airport and our equipment. This is an effort to kind of break it out a little bit to give a little more granularity on where the money's being spent.
And this is a contract out, or
Yes,
is
it
it
is.
city
We use
employees?
the Public Works contract.
Oh, it's Public Works, okay.
And the Public Works actually supervises and comes out and does we use the city's crack sealer and spend $15,000, budget $15,000 annually extra to be able to do the airport.
Thank you.
And that's what I have.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Newman. Thanks for that clarification because, so as I understand your answer, that crack sealing in 22, 23, 24 was in the repair and maintenance budget, and now you're bringing it out and putting it as a standalone thing. So
Yes, sir.
that's why the differential. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of the airport manager? Thank you, sir. Want to take a break?
No,
Oh.
do you want me to go sit
Yes.
there?
Go, no, you can go ahead.
All right.
You have the floor.
All right, moving on to the city manager's budget, page 19, if that's helpful. You'll see an overall decrease in my budget, and that's just right-sizing some of the expenditures. Some subscription and dues are down based on historical practice and things that we're not using. Travel, I don't anticipate traveling much except for maybe to AML, which is in Anchorage. Juneau possibly, but again, don't anticipate traveling out of state. Insurance came down, that was sent to us from finance, and really everything is just status quo. Regular salaries and benefits, that's pretty much a net. You will see now that we've got a full-time HR director that is included in here, and some of the expenses will come down once we get rid of once the contract with Soaring Bird Solutions is terminated at the end of the month, that will be reflected. Or is reflected, excuse me. That's it.
And that's it?
That's it. Lowered my budget by $8,600.
Any questions of the manager? All right, well, there we go. I mean, the only other one that we have is the mayor, council, and the clerk budget. You can look that over, and there's not really a whole heck of a lot of changes in that either. You can see the travel education, I think, is increased because we have, now we have, another deputy clerk, but it's also, we overspent last year, and so we're increasing that budget so people can go to do the AML trips and other trainings. And because we have 4 new council members, I would hope that they would all be going to AML this year. So, any other questions, comments about the presentations? Yes, sir.
No, but actually on the mayor council budget line, is the sister city program reduced because there's no travel of students to
That is correct.
Japan and Easter?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions over the whole presentation of Gina, department director, city manager?
I did have one question for the city manager.
Yes, please, go ahead.
And the circle, this is just based on the memorandum, I guess it's page 1 here. You made mention of the fact that the proposed budget reflects no new revenue sources. However, it would be important to diversify and carefully evaluate our revenue streams to ensure the city maintains fiscal sustainability in the years ahead. I was just wondering if you had anything specific in mind, as you mentioned, sounds like possibly looking at other revenue streams, or was that just kind of a general comment? Any thoughts on that?
Any revenue streams would obviously be a policy call by the city council. We have a sales tax, we've got property tax, so any adjustments to those, any new revenue streams, I certainly can be of assistance to help identify some of those, but Palmer will need to do something in the very near future because our expenditures will outpace our revenues quickly. So that's why I put that in there as we're okay right now, we're okay today, but we need to look at something seriously so that we remain liquid.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, final question for Gina, our city manager Zirkle. So Gina, if I go to page 59, I don't know if you have a budget book in front of you. So if I'm a journalist writing for a newspaper or just taking a gander at the overall budget, is that where I find it there? And would the headline be that Palmer proposes a status quo budget at a reduction of $137,000? A little less than 1%, but it's a reduction.
This is that is for the general fund, correct. But no capital projects are budgeted yet into this budget. Based on what's required in code, 10% of the general fund unassigned fund balance needs to go towards capital projects for 2026. And those are, capital projects are not yet budgeted yet into this budget.
Any other questions? All right. I'd like to accept a motion to come out of the committee of the whole.
I move we remove ourselves from committee of the whole.
Second.
Thank you. Man,
Do you want a roll call vote or just a vote?
are there any objections to coming out of the committee of the whole? Hearing none, we are out. Moving on to audience participation. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to come in and speak to us? I don't have that.
Oh, there's that. Might remind them they have 3 minutes.
All right, yeah, everybody has 3 minutes. Remember to keep your comments civil. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. My name is Mike Molesky. Live here in beautiful downtown Palmer. It's a sense of deja vu I have at this moment, and it's about a particular thing that I've noticed. First, I've been doing audio stuff for many years, and I have been involved, privileged in one way or another, to watch the transition of a number of organizations. Take the school board, for example, which once upon a time met in the upper library of Palmer High School. It now occupies another building. If any of you remember where the Borough Assembly used to meet, it was in the basement in a very long room that didn't serve anyone too well. That transition occurred to their new building. You're heading toward creating a library. And in the moment, you have 3 places, I'm thinking. We're sitting here in a small place, it's intimate, it's a nice little closet, and as long as there are not too many people, it's fine. We've done some meetings over at the Palmer Depot, which is a jewel, by the way. It's a wonderful facility, which is used by many people. But looking ahead, you're heading toward a library, which there's been discussion, I haven't seen concrete proposals yet, about what facility will be in that building that would accommodate the council. Each time I've watched that happen, and sometimes I've been involved in it in one way or another, what I've noted is that it took a lot of planning. So that's what I'm just bringing up at this time. Now, you're talking about next year's budget, but included in there is a look at the library. And I'm just encouraging you to consider, as you're looking at where you are now, and I suspect you'll be using the depot a few more times whenever you have large groups that you want to come. But the real goal is in a few years to be in that place. And I also caution that both the borough and the school board, if you go to their meetings, they have one tonight, there are 2.5 technicians over there. If you go to the school board meeting, there are at least 2 technicians there operating the equipment that makes that system work. I don't think it's necessary to think that you have to be saying if you're going to have those meetings, you're going to have such an installation that's going to require technicians. But I think right now, for example, as an extension of what we do here as a broadcast, I've provided some service, we've provided some service over the depot. I can tell you I've been called occasionally, and it's fairly simple to do because we sit in our facility right across the street. But that's a difficult thing to find some support for that at any time those meetings happen during the day and night. And it's something to think about, how to do that. So that's my offer to you. Think about that. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Ayla Van. I live at 125 Montgomery Way here in Palmer. I'm also the Parks and Facilities Manager for the City of Palmer. And I just wanted to invite all of you to come by and see the ice arena. It is up and running full steam ahead. We're open 7 days a week between 10 and 14 hours a day. And we have a trick or skate event on Halloween. So we're not competing with Trick or Treat Street this Friday, which is this Friday. So we're doing 3 different groups. So preschool, toddlers, strollers on the ice from 2:45 to 4:45. and then 5 to 7 and 7 to 9. So we've got elementary and then all ages 7 to 9. So we're going to decorate the rink. We'll be in costume. I got to tell my guys still, they might hear it now that they get to wear costumes. They might not be excited. And then I would also like all of you, I don't know if I said this because I don't speak in public very often, but I would love for all of you to come and tour the ice arena if you haven't been there in a long time or ever. I'm happy to give you a tour behind the scenes so you can see the equipment and how it all runs. And we've done a lot of improvements in there, and I would love to show it off. And I can guarantee you it's a more fun tour, no offense to Jude, than the wastewater treatment plant, which I have also done and provided to people. So I just hope you all can come by the rink on Halloween or sometime in the near future. Thank you.
Yeah, we're trick-or-treating.
Yeah. My name is Bob McCartney, and I've been in this valley. I used to be a council member 50 years ago. I came to talk about the golf course. It is the one thing in this valley that brings people here. And there's more people coming every year, and we have more young kids playing golf outdoors instead of doing this in their houses. And if you guys can hold that FAA off as long as you can, there's a lot of us to be proud of and happy, because that land is it's worthless otherwise. What are they gonna do, put 8 or 10 hangars in there? I'm the guy that made the motion to expand the airport the first time. And I wasn't a very popular person at that time because there was people that had their little hangars down there that had to be moved, and they weren't happy with me. But my family's been in this valley for 100 years. My mother moved here in 24, and us old guys that see all these young kids out there walking that course and exercising, we really appreciate it. So if you guys can hold that FAA off as long as you can, I would be happy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is John Dementi. I'm not a city resident, but I am your airport manager. I just wanted to follow Ailish's act and invite you out to the airport. I don't have anything cool and exciting, but it's real neat to get out. The airport covers a very large swath of land, and a lot of people don't really understand how the land is used and what the land is needed for. So you have my contact information. I'm happy to give you a nickel tour anytime. Just let me know. Thank you.
No candy, no costumes?
Boring.
Yeah.
I have hot dogs and monsters.
Yeah.
There you go, yeah.
Anyone else that would like to come forward and speak? Seeing no one, we'll close audience participation. We're at council member comments. Councilwoman Allison Collins.
Thank you. I just apologize for not being physically present again today. I have some medical issues that are still hampering me here, but hope to be in person soon. I appreciate everyone that presented today. A lot of good information there, and appreciate all the work that each of you do on behalf of the City of Palmer. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Carrington.
I just want to thank everybody for presenting. I got to hear the stuff online. Thank you for setting that up for me all this last week, and look forward to seeing how this all budgeting thing pans out. A lot of stuff. That is all.
Thank you. Councilwoman Graham.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out. I know that especially for department directors and their professional staff that come to these meetings, that it takes up more of their personal time, and it's greatly appreciated. I also wanted to mention that I am going to be gone for the next 2 council meetings. I will be out of the country and unable to participate telephonically, but I'm I think I can email you, but I'm not 100% sure, so we'll see how that goes. And again, I just want to thank everybody for their hard work. I know that putting together a budget like this is a lot of time and work, and with almost 100% turnover of all of our department directors in like the last 8 months, I'm sure that it was stressful and a learning curve, and it's seen and very appreciated. Thank you.
Councilwoman Hudson?
Yes, thank you. I also wanted to say thank you to everybody for presenting tonight, and also to our finance director and to our city manager. One thing I can say that I definitely noticed this year was that it looks like everybody went down and went back and looked at the actual numbers of what things were costing. So I saw a lot of decreases, it seems, because of that. So thank you guys for actually taking time to go look at those numbers. I guess I just wanted to remind everybody that, as the library project is moving on, that I've said this a million times before, but the voters approved a bond for a library and only a library. So if we want to have any discussions about adding any other areas into the library, then that would also need to come out of our budget. So that's something to consider if we are wanting to put council chambers in the new library. That would need to be a conversation. But otherwise, thank you everybody for coming out, and I hope you have a great week.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, big thanks to all the department heads. Very thorough and well done job, especially to Gina, who kind of has to fill in for everybody and take all the barbs on numbers and things. And City Manager Zirkle, nice job, nice budget presentation. I will not be here on Friday or this weekend, so I'll miss the cool Trick or Treat Town, but I will be around for a MTA Event Center tour shortly. And last time I toured the airport, it was actually the city manager that took us on a tour. I think it was before John started, so I'll make a commitment to get out there and make sure to tour the airport again. I did want to second audience participation of former city council member McCartney in talking about hold off FAA as long as you can, because FAA is being, they may be a big boogeyman that's out there, but I think if we can hold them off, I'm always really happy to see people when I do get a chance to go golfing. I was mentioning to George earlier, this year wasn't a year for me to get out much, but I got out there with my kids on 4th of July. I got out there with my other kid from the Navy when he was here in March 30th. I got out there and played golf. So it's been a long, fruitful season at Palmer Golf Course. And it is, as the mayor mentioned, former, mentioned in Golf Digest, it's a jewel of our community. I'd sure hate to see it go away because FAA regulations or somebody, the directors and appointed personnel change at FAA all the time, and I do think delay as long as we can is probably a good idea. So other than that, see you back here next Tuesday. Thank you.
I too also want to thank the department heads and Gina and the city manager. It's easy for us to sit up here and look at the budget and say, hey, what's with this, what's with that? Whereas all the work is being done, behind the scenes. You guys are busting your butts, doing all that and getting this ready for us. I truly appreciate all the work that you've done. Thank you. So, comment about the internet. I mean, the internet is a place to gather sometimes some pretty good information. This Saturday, my neighbor wanted me to take care of her dog because the dog had eaten an avocado pit. So I looked on the internet and found out that the avocado pit is toxic to dogs, and they recommend that you watch them carefully for a length of time to make sure that they don't get sick, don't have diarrhea, don't throw up, and if they're having any of these kind of symptoms, get them to the vet. So I did that. I stayed home all day with the dog and made sure that, that it was okay until the neighbor got home late in the afternoon. So the negative part about the internet, social media, is on social media, it was listed that I was at the Saturday rally for the No Kings rally. And I want to say that is unequivocally false, that I was not there. And so as a result of that information, there's all kinds of stuff that's being put on the internet about, my policies, my beliefs and stuff, and how I'm going to try to influence the council. And my previous statement last meeting was that absolutely does not play into how I plan to operate the city and the council. So I guess, what I'm saying is, half the things that you read on social media are not true. And in this case, it's unequivocally false that I was actually at that rally. I realize that the mayor is a position that people look to, and regardless if you're speaking as an individual, they know that you're the mayor of the city, and they think that you're speaking for the city. And so I pay particular attention to what I do, where I go, and what I say. So with that, I want to, I'll leave that alone, and we will see you next week. With that, we're closed.